Let's go!
Welcome to week 2. We are the Treehouse Cowboys, a branch of the Treehouse Podcast, which you can hear Monday through Friday at treehouseonair.com. This is our very special and very specific Cowboys show that we do, partly because the Cowboys are our favorite team. And because the Cowboys are our favorite team, we need therapy. And this show, I need to be very clear. It is not therapy, but it is therapeutic for us Cowboys fans to come together and make fun of the team that we love, because it's only fair considering how they seem to make fun of us a good chunk of the time when they lay turds on the field, like they did yesterday in Arlington against the Saints. I'm Dan O'Malley, joined by Trey Trenholm. Our other buddy, Raj Sharma, is in New York having Wi-Fi issues. If he pops in, cool. If not, we will continue on without him like an injury. So yesterday, the Cowboys home opener against the Saints, and they lose 44-19 and made history. Trey, did you know that 44-19 is the first time in NFL history that score has been achieved?
I did not know that.
Yeah, so Cowboys made history, and of course they were on the wrong side of it, but still part of a history-making game. Yay for the Cowboys. That's about the only... No, there's actually a couple positive things you could take out of this game, but I'm not in the mood to be positive about the game yesterday. So let's go ahead.
Jerry will find a way to spin that, to make it positive.
Yeah, absolutely. He'll probably slap it on a billboard or a T-shirt and find some sort of like history maker premium ticket price, not discount, but raise it, because you can come to the stadium and witness history get made. Who cares if the team is sucking on that side of it? But yeah, exactly. So let's start with this today. Did our Dallas Cowboys fool everybody in Cleveland last week? Because we were mostly flying high. The Cowboys won, started the season 1-0. They won 33-17, if I remember correctly. And the national media was even on board. They're like, man, the Cowboys look great going into the game. Watching the Fox pregame show, everyone was saying, yeah, they looked really, really solid. Mike Zimmer's new defense really looks promising. It looks like doomsday defense type of situation. And then right in the middle of the field, right on the star, the Cowboys going to cowboy. So do you think the Cowboys fooled everybody last week?
No. I mean, yeah. Do I think they fooled a lot of people? Yes. I believe I said last week, it's still Cleveland. So but for them to take that big of a steaming turd just on the field and like that, even I was shocked. And I have low expectations.
Okay, honest question then. Were you surprised by the outcome yesterday?
I was surprised. Yes, I've was surprised that the defense looked completely inept. Derek Carr looked like a superstar.
Drew Brees,
and he's not a bad quarterback. He's kind of gotten a bad rap, but solid quarterback. And Dak.
There are a few different things on this Cowboys onion to peel away. And as far as I'm concerned, did the Cowboys fool everybody in Cleveland? They fooled enough people, because I was actually really surprised that the Fox pregame show guys were saying, yeah, this team looks really great. Look like they're in midseason form type of thing. The defense is really dominant. Whereas all of us in here in the Treehouse Cowboys were saying, whoa, whoa, whoa. Pump the brakes. Number one, like you said, Trey, it was Cleveland. Number two, it's still the Cowboys. We've seen this. It is a cycle every single year. Beat up on the bad teams and do kind of against the good teams, make it into the playoffs, either through wild card or by winning the division, and then lay a big turd in the postseason, one and done. So we're used to this. The thing that did surprise me yesterday was that type of game, that type of performance doesn't typically happen to the Cowboys until later in the year. The last time they looked this bad, interestingly enough, was only 2 games ago when they got bounced and blown out by the Packers in the playoffs. The game before that, where they also got trounced, was when they went to Buffalo, and that was supposed to be a great matchup. Everyone was really looking forward to it. A possible Super Bowl preview. Cowboys on the road, Buffalo, and they got absolutely ass stomped by the Bills over and over and over. Didn't even look like the Cowboys had showed up to play in that game. And then yesterday we get more of the same. So like I said, the only thing surprising to me about yesterday was the fact that that game happened, that performance happened so early in the year. Usually it happens later in the year, like December or January.
Well, I think the other thing is New Orleans in week 1 went to Carolina, who I think generally is considered one of the worst teams in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And now this is a scary thing. They beat Carolina 47-10. That's not too far away from 44-19. So yeah, I think there's now a lot more questions about the Cowboys as a whole.
Yeah, I will say this. I think as a Saints fan, which I'd much prefer to be today, as a Saints fan, you've got to be absolutely thrilled. Not only do you have a 2-0 start, but you've put up over 40 points in back-to-back weeks. And they were kind of in a similar boat as the Cowboys after week 1. Cowboys week 1, yeah, beat the Browns. Well, it's the Browns. Saints week 1, yeah, we destroyed the Panthers. Well, it's Carolina, come on. But then they went into Arlington and absolutely kicked the ever-loving snot out of the Cowboys. And now everyone's going to be looking at the Saints very differently, seeing them as a legit playoff contender.
And boy, does that Derek Carr 4-year, $130 million contract look good.
Oh, God, does it not? I bet Jerry Jones is in there. They kept showing, the cutaway shots, Jerry in his Caesar loft there in the stadium. And he had to be thinking, man, that's $100 million. That's $110 million less that I could have paid and got that guy instead of the guy that I got, who is just kind of, if we're being honest, because I was telling my wife this yesterday. All last week, I kept seeing the graphic. The last 50 games for Dak compared to the last 50 games for Patrick Mahomes, and they were damn near identical. Almost line for line stats as far as touchdowns, interceptions, yards, all that stuff. Except for obviously the biggest stat of all, which is playoff wins and Super Bowls. So it really does make you question, like we asked last week, is Dak really worth it? And yesterday, you can't put all of the blame on him because the defense looked absolutely atrocious.
Oh, the defense it just looked befuddled. But Dak, the one thing over and over again, year in and year out, he displays is poor decision-making in the highest of pressure situations.
It is really sad that I have very little confidence in the Cowboys to come back and challenge when they are down early. And that is something that happened under Jason Garrett, and that's something that has continued under Mike McCarthy, especially with Mike McCarthy. This team just doesn't ever seem to have any grit, any determination. They get down early and they look around and don't know what to do. And it really is concerning to me when I'm watching a game and they show Mike McCarthy on the sideline or Mike Zimmer on the sideline. And they have the same look on their face that I do on my couch in the living room, which is what happened. The head coach of the Cowboys and the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys shouldn't have the same look on their faces that I do watching the game, thinking, well, what's going on? That's sad. That's pathetic. That's dumb. I mean, if you want, I can take the headset on and I can coach the Cowboys and I can stand on the sideline and look like an idiot going, I don't know what happened. Because I don't, because I'm not a coach.
I got nothing for you on that one because it was just
that's okay. Neither did McCarthy and Zimmer. They really did. Like especially when they kept cutting away to Zimmer, and he's biting his nails and he looks like he's about to get he looks like he's about to go into couples therapy and he knows he's in the wrong.
He's the one who cheated.
And he knows he's about to get it not only from the missus, but he's also going to get it from the therapist. And they're probably going to call in a student therapist to watch it as well, because it's going to be a master class in idiot shaming.
That's an excellent analogy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's take that excellent analogy and move it into the second big thing for today's show inside the Treehouse Cowboys. And that is, again, the Saints beating our Cowboys 40-19. Our big three takeaways from the game. Trey, what is your big takeaway from the game yesterday?
Dan Quinn and the Redskins looked really good, really scrappy. They fought it out and got an overtime win against the Giants.
Damn. So your big takeaway from the Cowboys Saints game yesterday is how good Dan Quinn's Washington football team looked.
Yeah, and why isn't he our head coach?
Look, that was a theory you and I had for a while. That was, if McCarthy didn't deliver, Jerry Jones had the next head coach in waiting in Dan Quinn.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, they decided to keep McCarthy in that role and let Dan Quinn go. And I think the reason why might have been, at least in part, because of the playoff performance. I think the defense looked so bad against the Packers that the Joneses were like, you know what? I don't think we need that guy. Because I don't know what he was thinking in that game, and I don't want to look too far back, but I think that may have played a role in Dan Quinn leaving and not getting a shot as the head coach of the Cowboys. Now, my big takeaway in this game is realizing somewhere in the third quarter, I was sober. I cannot recall.
It's hard, isn't it?
It really is. I cannot recall the last time I watched a Cowboys game sober. Honest to God, it might have been when I was in high school. And so my big takeaway from this game was the Cowboys are why I drink. It is damn near impossible to go through an entire Cowboys game, especially like the one yesterday where they're getting blown out 44-19 without an ounce of booze in my body. Trey, you've been sober for 8 years. How do you do it?
It's difficult. I won't lie. I have to get up, walk away, change the channel. Sometimes at a certain point, like when Dak threw the interception in the fourth, early in the fourth quarter, I was like, it's done. Is
that when you just go straight to a meeting?
Yeah.
Is there a halftime meeting for Cowboys Alcoholics Anonymous?
I'm sure there is somewhere, or there's a lot of people, the hotline is ringing.
Mm-hmm. Like maybe what you should do is just have an app, and maybe what you should do is have an actual Alcoholics Anonymous. I can't talk to this. How stupid and dumb the Cowboys make me. You should have an AA meeting during every Cowboys game. That way you can have a pregame meeting, a halftime meeting, and a postgame meeting.
Mm-hmm. And there's snacks.
And snacks. That sounds lovely.
It's better than watching the game.
Mm-hmm. No, that's my thing, is that you could actually watch the game and then have meetings at the appropriate times. So you could have shares in the 2 minutes and 20-second commercial breaks.
And what happens when they just, that make for a long meeting when they crap the bed like they did early?
Would it be too much? Would it be too risky?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so no Cowboys watching.
At least you'd have to do it in a building with no windows.
Or at least on the ground floor.
Yeah.
The other takeaway I had in this game, in addition to the Cowboys are the reason I drink, is we got to see an excellent example yesterday of how important coaching is in the NFL. Because Jerry Jones says he's all in for this season and made absolutely zero changes, including the coaching staff. He kept on Mike McCarthy. The only change was bringing in Mike Zimmer, which after yesterday proved to really be no big deal, except for the fact that it backfired. And this is what I mean by coaching in yesterday's game. It's a great example of how important it is in the NFL and why it's my other big takeaway. On the Saints staff, you have Dennis Allen as the head coach. Okay. But Clint Kubiak, the offensive coordinator from San Francisco, as Cowboys fans, we know what a thorn in the side the 49ers have been to the Cowboys in recent years, right? Now let's couple that with the fact that he was underneath Mike Zimmer when Mike Zimmer was the head coach in Minnesota. So now you got the offensive coordinator for the Saints. It's a perfect storm. They put up 40 points in Carolina the previous week. They come into Arlington, something this coordinator is used to doing when he was with the 49ers. He's used to beating the Cowboys. He's got the playbook for that, and he's got the playbook to probably beat his former boss and Mike Zimmer. Put those two things together, you got to see how important coaching is in the NFL, because they had someone that knows exactly what to do to beat the Cowboys, especially when that team is led by Mike McCarthy.
That is an excellent point. I have no rebuttal for that.
You don't need to rebut. I mean, it's okay if you just go like, that's really good. Yeah. I honestly can't think of a better, more recent example, or at least a more recent example, considering how it happened yesterday. But it goes back to what I was saying before about, seeing the face on the coach looking the same as me, and I'm watching the game. That shouldn't happen. Meanwhile, Clint Kubiak's on the sideline with the Saints going, yeah. I own you. He could have held up the play sheet and said, I own you. And that's what happened yesterday. Let's transition into the final point of today's Treehouse Cowboys, and that is this. Something less focused on the game and more about what's happening outside the stadium, where joy still exists, right? At least most of the time. And that is NFL tailgating. The Cowboys are not exactly known for a tailgating hotspot. But what are the Cowboys definitely known for at AT&T Stadium? Money.
Losing?
Well, that too. Besides that. So they'll lose games, embarrassingly so, but they still make money.
Oh, yeah.
And so there was a report done about the most expensive and the cheapest tailgates in the NFL. A gambling site decided to look at this and see how much it costs to tailgate at each NFL stadium this year. The average for 4 people to tailgate at an NFL stadium is $205.17. And now you're probably wondering, what's the most expensive place to tailgate?
What does this include? This includes parking and...
Yeah, the price varies quite a bit depending on where you are. The most expensive spot is in San Francisco. They have the most expensive tailgate at $292. Parking alone accounts for $132 of that. The other $160 covers the food, water, soda, and 16 beers. So 4 beers per person. Okay. So that's a pretty good average, I would say. So San Francisco takes the top spot as the most expensive tailgate in the NFL. The rest of the top 5 most expensive tailgates, LA Rams at $258. Makes sense with that new stadium. And then coming in third are Dallas Cowboys, $242 average to tailgate at AT&T Stadium. So congratulations, Cowboys fans. We're in the top 5 for something. The thing I thought was interesting, because I went to the AT&T website and started looking at what some of those costs might be, because in order to get a parking pass, you got to get it off of SeatGeek, it looks like. And the cheapest one I've found is $88 for parking, and that's against the Lions. If it's against the Ravens, it's starting at $100, which is the next one. Now in Arlington, you have to do it on the periphery, so you have to back up to the grass lots, and there's only certain lots you can tailgate in. So... And you have to, within a certain, there's all these rules and they're all over the website, but Cowboys, third most expensive tailgate in the NFL, with the average being $242.
San Francisco and LA don't surprise me. I figured New York would have been more expensive.
Rounding out that top 5, the Eagles were right behind the Cowboys with an average tailgate of $238, and the Washington Commanders at $224. I thought the interesting thing was, though, about tailgating with the Cowboys at $242 average is I don't know if that includes any sort of a cleanup fee. Because if you tailgate and you eat and you drink and then you go in to watch the game and you eat some more and you drink some more, and then you see the game that they played against the Saints, you're inevitably going to come out to your tailgate and puke all over the place. So Airbnb has a cleanup fee that you have to do. Uber and Lyft have vomit fees in case you puke in their cars. I don't see any sort of a cleanup fee for the Cowboys tailgating. It does say to pick up your trash and stuff, but I don't know what happens if you puke all over the parking spot. I don't know if, Rowdy comes out with a bucket of kitty litter and covers it up.
I mean, maybe it's covered when the Cowboys crap their pants that they let the tailgaters off the hook.
That would be fair.
Yeah.
I think that actually makes sense, because you're right. I mean, if the team seems to have, the runs all over the field, but not in the good way, then yeah, I think you shouldn't be held to any sort of equal standard or certainly not a higher standard if the players are pooping all over the stadium.
They really need a sponsorship with the Pins. That would be the most fitting thing ever. Both for Jerry and the team.
You know what? That's actually really good, because I actually had the thought yesterday during the game, because they showed a bunch of the fans in the stands, of course, looking dejected and disappointed, including the one guy who took his white towel and covered his face with it. It reminded me of the old days when embarrassed fans would go to games with the paper bags because they didn't want to be identified as going to the game, right?
That was the New Orleans Aints.
That's right. I think that the Cowboys could do that. And I think that instead of using the old paper bag, then by God, let's have the official Dallas Cowboys butt shroud in Depends, and you can just on your face, or the players can use it for the manner in which it was intended.
Yeah, you couldn't do the bags over the head, because at a certain point, Cowboys fans would start using plastic bags and just offing themselves.
It's just like sitting next to each other. You do me and I'll do you at the same time. And that's where we are, Cowboys fans. And it's only after week 2.
Let's go!
All right, for all things Treehouse, treehouseonair.com. That'll do it for week 2 of the Treehouse Cowboys. Cowboys lose embarrassingly to the New Orleans Saints. We'll see you for week 3 right here for the Treehouse Cowboys.